Hi everyone and welcome to KREM 2 News at noon. I'm Laura Papetti. Jen York does have today off. We are bringing you an update on vaccine plans here in Spokane County. Spokane Regional Health District says some COVID-19 vaccines have indeed arrived in the county, but they aren't clear on just exactly how many. They've told us Spokane is slated to get 3,900 vaccines in that first shipment. And those first doses will go to at-risk healthcare workers. A vaccine program coordinator with the health district said it could be fall before everyone who wants a vaccine is able to get one. There is some good news on the vaccine front in the fight against coronavirus. The FDA says Moderna's vaccine is indeed highly effective, and it appears to be on track for the same emergency use authorization that Pfizer received last week. So taking a look, new data released by the FDA confirming Moderna's vaccine is more than 94% effective in preventing COVID-19. Unlike the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna's can be stored at normal refrigeration, really normal temperatures for 30 days. That should help get the vaccine to rural communities in places throughout eastern Washington and North Idaho. Alex Azar says he hopes to have 100 million doses completed by the end of January and enough supply to vaccinate everyone who wants one by July.
We continue to negotiate for and purchase more doses too, including the announcement of another 100 million doses of Moderna to be delivered in the second quarter of 2021.
Now, meanwhile, people who need to get tested for COVID-19 have the first at-home test approved by the FDA. Anyone 2 years old and up can use it, even if you aren't showing symptoms. The FDA tweeted that the test uses a nasal swab to check for proteins of the virus. You can then use an app on your smartphone to go ahead and get the results. The kit will cost $30 and the test is about 96% accurate. The FDA says you could get your results in as little as 20 minutes. Now, that has approval. Drugstores can sell them to anyone who wants them. However, the FDA says also patients could get a false negative or a false positive. So if you test positive, you should self-isolate and get your care from and information from your healthcare provider. If you test negative, they believe it's still a good idea to check with a doctor and still potentially get a test. All right, it is 12:03 right now. We're going to take one moment, send it on over to Jeremy Legoo, and we're going to check in on winter weather. So it's kind of just a mess out there, but we haven't seen any snow, at least for the last several hours.
Yeah, you know, it's just been way too warm, Laura. I was just out on South Hill, and on those side streets, it's still a slushy, sloppy kind of mess. And with temperatures hovering above freezing, that is about our only saving grace when it comes to that slop right now. At least we know it's not going to freeze for the time being. We're just way too warm, and that means as we get our next storm kind of working its way toward us, that we are looking at rain and not snow. There's some of those clouds moving in, and here's what happens later on today. Notice around 4 o'clock we'll start to see those showers really envelop much of the inland northwest. Coeur d'Alene, you'll see them just after 4, but then watch what happens overnight. We're talking heavy rain here in Spokane. Tomorrow, a few lingering showers. The snow level drops, but it's still a little too high for us to get any here in Spokane. So right now, knocking on the door of 40 degrees. We are up to 40 here in the next little bit and staying there. Even as that rain moves in later on today, temperatures stay mild. It's just the nature of the storm. And that, you know, at first I was saying, oh man, I really wish it was snow. But with all the slush still on some of those side roads, this is about the only bit of good news I can offer, is that that's not going to turn into ice. And the rain in the forecast should help melt some of that before our next storm arrives, Laura.
Yeah, because nothing's worse. You have all that ice and then snow falls, so we need to get rid of this.
Yeah,
Or come shovel my walkway. Either one, Jeremy, is fine with me. Whatever you choose, right?
Do I have to shovel your walkway again?
I'm going to have to say yes.
Right,
I'm holding firm. 12:05 right now. Congressional leaders worked late into the night to try to hammer out their differences on a coronavirus relief package. So the group hopes to have a deal in place by the end of the week that then they can attach to a government spending measure. Just like last week, they must pass this by Friday in order to avoid a government shutdown. So there are two emergency relief bills which would provide nearly $1 trillion in relief to Americans. The package would extend current unemployment benefits for 16 weeks and add a $300 weekly supplement. And it provides $300 billion for relief to small businesses. Among many other needs, there's money for healthcare providers, for K-12 and higher education, and $16 billion more in vaccine costs and COVID testing. The separate relief bill is $160 billion, with guarantees that states share the funds with some local and tribal governments. But not everyone in Washington is on board with that plan, and the senators say it may take work to get it through the Republican Senate and the White House. So we'll certainly keep tracking. Scientists in the UK found evidence that the COVID-19 virus may be mutating. So the question remains, is that something we should all be worried about? Scientists are saying no. So let's connect the dots.
The World Health Organization is investigating a new variant of coronavirus that has popped up in Britain, but experts say we shouldn't be worried that the virus is mutating. Let's connect the dots. Britain announced the new variant, saying it may be responsible for a sharp rise in cases in the south of England. There is no evidence that this mutation is more deadly than other strains, and authorities in Britain believe vaccines will still be effective against it. The mutation affects the spike proteins on coronavirus that allows it to infect cells. Right now, scientists are trying to determine if this mutation allows coronavirus to spread faster. The fact that this virus is mutating is not surprising. When a virus infects a cell, it starts making copies of its own genetic instructions. Those copies are not perfect copies, and mistakes, think of them like typos, build up over time as it spreads. If a change made in that code helps the virus survive, then that mutated strain has a better chance of surviving. But only certain changes in the code can make a virus deadlier, and therefore those changes are more rare. Mutations have actually helped scientists track coronavirus as it spread. That's how we know a mutated strain of COVID-19 spread from eastern China to Europe to New York City. The unique genetic sequence of the mutation allowed them to follow this pandemic as it unfolded.
All right, it is 12:07 right now. In the past week, two families have reported that their dogs have gotten shocked while walking around downtown Spokane. The family of the most recent dog to get shocked says it was a junction box that delivered that shock.
He just started moaning and barking, and Amy went to grab him, and he bit her, and he was just howling in pain.
Look at that cute face. Okay. Teddy's family said they came forward about their story after seeing a different story on KREM 2 about another dog who was shocked just down the street. They said as soon as it happened, they did call Spokane's 311 hotline. The city said they came out with a Vista, but didn't find any issues with power in that area. The city streets department said these incidents are very rare, saying the city does not know why these shocks are happening. The city does work on these boxes often, though, and the city says they are ready to respond if anything like this happens again. Governor Jay Inslee proposed a bill that would create a comprehensive climate program to reduce emissions in Washington by the year 2030. The Climate Commitment Act would establish principles and standards for a climate program. The goal is to meet statewide greenhouse gas limits, improve climate resilience, and reduce climate change impacts on communities and ecosystems. But right now, it's just an idea. The state legislature needs to approve Inslee's proposal for it to indeed become law. According to Bloomberg News, people are leaving big cities, and Seattle made it on their list. The report suggests that even though the city is gaining in population, it is also losing population at the same time. Other cities losing population include Dallas, Texas, and Tampa, Florida. The top city gaining population right now is Austin, Texas. Well, the Spokane Chiefs hockey season is delayed, and this is because of public health restrictions and player health, welfare, and safety. The Western Hockey League announced the 2020 to 2021 WHL regular season will no longer start coming up January 8th. The Board of Governors will meet coming up in January to consider possible new start dates. So we'll keep you updated. And some bad news for Apple Cup fans. In a press conference this week, WSU head football coach says Saturday's game against the University of Utah is, quote, probably going to be it for the season, which means no bowl game and no Apple Cup for the Cougs.